This is K Progeny. I wanted to talk about following your own rules and religion. I hear a lot of girls talking about they can't find a man and Jesus sent them a man and they prayed for a man, but a lot of women don't follow their religion. They don't look at the actual words in the book. They're clearly okay with being taught or saying that they are part of a religion. They call it toxic masculinity, misogyny, all these evil things, but if they read their book, these things are in there. They say they're equal to men. It says they're not equal. They are weaker, according to the book. And kind to their husbands, to be self-controlled, pure, work at home. So if your book is telling you to do certain things to maintain or secure a husband, why don't you follow that instead of modern femininity or being an independent woman? And if you're on Instagram or Facebook or any of those platforms and you're dressed in a way that looks like you're going to the beach or you're a video vixen, and then you say you're a Christian or you're a Muslim, or your book doesn't tell you to dress like that. It tells you to be modest. Clearly in the Bible, when it talks about modest dress, I think that's also in 1 Peter chapter 3, 3-7. Tells you to avoid expensive apparel, to dress modestly, to cover yourself, to look like a woman who would be respected. If you're flaunting yourself, there was a cut from Dave Chappelle where he said, you may not be a hoe, but you have on a prostitute's apparel. So you'll get approached like that. You have to dress in a certain manner which reflects who you are. And if you dress with your butt out in skin tight clothing, who you're telling me is you're someone to have fun with. You're no one I want to take home to my mother. You're no one I want to have vows with. Even in Timothy chapter 2, verse 9-10, tells you to dress responsibly. There are many more verses, and we could go over this time and time again, but if you don't follow your own rules, how would a man expect you to follow his rules? If you won't follow God's rules, how can a man expect you to follow his rules or even be willing to hear the rules? A lot of people say, oh, well, I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim, but I don't practice. That means you're not a Christian or a Muslim. Stop saying that. If you believe in God, but you're not doing anything that God wants you to do, then don't bring him up in the conversation when you're dating, when you're being courted by a man. Because if he could look at that you don't obey God's laws, you surely ain't going to obey his. And as for the clothes that you choose when you're leaving the house, if you can look in the mirror at your butt and see the circumference of it, you should change. If you can look and see the vaginal V, you should change. And for men, if your clothing is too tight, you should change. Let's be on both sides there, but I'm mainly speaking to the women. If you follow certain laws and guidelines, those guidelines are not put there to restrict you from wearing good clothing. Those guidelines are not put there to keep you from looking sexy. Those guidelines are put there to protect you from the wicked eye. Because when you're dressed like that, the only thing you're saying is, I'm available for sex. No one wants that. Well, let me start. They want it, but they don't want it as a wife. Respect yourself, respect your religion, respect the laws of religion. Those laws are put there to protect you, not to hinder you or make life hard. If you do what is said in these verses, I guarantee you will be married and you'll have a happy life. Don't approach it like, oh, I have to do what he says. Approach it like, I want to be happy. And doing these things will create his happiness. Because just speaking from my own perspective, I'd much rather spend money on a woman that I like than a woman that barks and bites. I think it's Proverbs chapter 21 verse 9 when it says, talks about being in the house with a quarrelsome woman. Check these verses out. They're easy to look up. They're in every Bible. But if you are being this woman who says, I have to have because of this, no, you don't. And when men say it, it's not the same for them either. There is nothing that is guaranteed to you because you are you. Cute, nice body, all that will wear off. Just like driving a Benz, you get the year model Benz of this year, in 10 years, you won't even like that car. You will want a whole new one. So if you're getting it for looks, just know that once that infatuation wears off, that will be the end of your relationship. But if you are a good person and you treat your man correctly, he will desire to be with you, not just sexually. When a man sees that you are a benefit to his life, you make his life easier, you're easy to talk to, you're easy to leave instructions and they get done when he gets home. Not saying that you be a slave, but you just doing it because you want your man to be happy. When he sees this, he has no problem being at home and he has no problem spending his wealth on you. But if you nagging him and in his ear with some BS every 5 to 10 minutes, of course he's not going to want to buy you nothing. He's not going to want to be at home. He's probably going to be out there at the club or whatever or wherever else brings him joy, because all he gets is a heartache. And then he has to ask you for intimacy. And that's a maybe, yes, sometimes if I want to, he can get that in the street. Make yourself someone a man would want as a wife. When you want them to think life-term relationship, you can't look like you are the woman for tonight.